You're listening to Power Grid Talks, from the bucket trucks to the boardrooms. I'm your host, Tom Williamson, a journeyman lineman with over 15 years in the trade. Here we bring you real stories and real conversations from the field to the executive suites of the electric utility world. It's about the people who keep the power flowing and the grid strong. Let's get to work. All right, back here at Power Grid Talks, and I'm sitting down with Jimmy Kent of ATK Energy Group and Victory Powerline Services. How we doing, Jimmy?
Doing good, Thomas.
I appreciate you having me here, man.
Yep.
So talk to me about where we're at and kind of why this is your happy place, right?
Yep. So Tammy and I have always enjoyed hunting. We've been married 36 years, and we started hunting years and years ago when we first got married, and it just kind of came up with the boys. So we got 3 sons and enjoy, the hunting life. And so we ended up moving to Iowa because we wanted to hunt bigger deer, and we've enjoyed it. We've been here 18 years and just buying farm after farm after farm, and just enjoyed redoing the farms, building the houses, refurbishing old houses. And so it's been a passion of ours.
So is it safe to say this is probably your calmness to the chaos of the industry, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have that balance.
Yeah. We go on business, and, when we're coming home and we're flying into Kansas City, I can see all the squares, and I know I'm home. It's all the crop ground, but I enjoy that. I enjoy being back in the Midwest, being home, and we go for business, like I said, and I'm ready to get home in about 4 days. So,
Yeah. And when you have a place like this, I can imagine why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hunting is a passion of yours, right? And you kind of mentioned that. And I guess the hunting in Florida obviously is not the same as it is up here. But what is it about the hunting that really kind of does it for you? Like what sets it off?
Well, just being able to, get up in the morning and get out there, and, your mind, it clears your mind. It's a good spot to be. You're by yourself. You don't have people tugging and pulling on you. And, if you're in the line world and you're a lineman, linemen understand, you need some of that time alone.
Yeah.
And it gives you time to think. It's kind of like being on the lawnmower. People like being out on the lawnmower, a tractor. That's their happy time. And mine is being in the woods.
Yep.
It helps me think. I'll come back. Tammy, I was thinking about this, and, we'll talk about it. She's out in the woods. Hey, I was sitting here thinking, but it just gives you time to really decompress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And there's a side of it too, where, out in the woods, hunting around farm equipment, all that stuff, one mistake can cost you, right?
Yeah.
And line works the same way.
Yeah.
One mistake in the industry, one thing can change your life forever.
Yeah.
And it's important to kind of keep that front of mind too when you're out here, I'm sure.
Yeah. I've had some close calls, when we're out here. You're on equipment, you're by yourself. You try to make sure you're doing everything possible that you can do the right thing. And there's some unforeseen things that you want to be ready for.
Yeah.
If you're in them skid loaders, wear your seatbelt. Wear your seatbelt on your tractor. A lot of people don't wear them. You hit a pothole or something, it can turn you sideways, throw you off the tractor, and you're under a bush hog. So
just like that.
Yeah. So, same thing with being in these bucket trucks. Wrong person pull out in front of you and you're flying through that big old windshield.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And sitting here in this quiet place where you're just relaxing and kind of, at your equilibrium, I guess, right? You're peaceful, you're relaxed. It's hard to imagine how chaotic and crazy job sites can get and the industry can get. And I know you've experienced some of that firsthand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind, can you take us back to a situation in the industry where you've had an incident, an accident, something that kind of changed your mindset?
Mm-hmm. So it was November the 9th, 1990. I was working for Florida Power Corporation, and they're no longer a company anymore. They were a 100-year company. They were bought out by Progress Energy, and later it's become Duke.
Yep.
But I worked for Florida Power Corporation at the time, 1990. That day, we're out in the country. I worked for in a yard. It was a rural yard. It was more out in the country where you work most of the time. One of the guys had just come back from offshore fishing, and he was on vacation. Everybody's sitting around talking, and it was lunchtime. It wasn't 15 minutes after lunch, we decided we were going to take an outage. We had pulled some new conductor in, was going to drop the old conductor out. We were fixing to swap load. So I went in and talked to the office there. It was a well drilling yard, asked them to that we was going to take an outage on them, and went out there, and I was in front of the truck. I was in front of the truck. There was a trailer. It was 25 foot long, and I was at the back of that trailer. So I was 25 feet away from the line, and both trucks were facing me, and which were noisy. Hydro throttles were running.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got a lot of noise going on. You're trying to watch the lineman and what he's doing. The lineman to my right, he yelled back at one of the groundmen to he needed something, and I was trying to listen to what he's going to need, or I was going to go over and help him. And when I took my eyes off of this lineman and watched him, he cut the line. Well, when he cut the line should have stayed up with a dead end route. What ended up happening was the line came across that trailer. It was 7,200. We were about 7 miles. It was number 4 conductor. So they were saying it really didn't see the fault that far away from the sub, about 7 miles away.
Yep.
And I was burning on it. So tires caught on fire on the trailer. There was a trencher on that trailer. It caught on fire. My feet were on the ground and on the handlebars of the trencher. And I didn't know what was happening. I just knew something was happening bad. But at that point, you know, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It ended up blowing me off the, I could feel myself drawing up on this trencher. And all I could think of is if my chest touches this, I'm dead. I don't know why I was thinking that. The power was already running through me. And, but I ended up getting blowed off the machine and jumped up, took off running. I ran into a chain link fence, grabbed this fence, and I started trying to just pull through it. You know, just I needed a hole to get through to get away from this. Yeah. And you know, you can hear the wire back. You know, the everything's energized. It's making noises. Everybody's yelling. Stuff's going on. I turned around, started running back. I couldn't see, and I fell in this dirt. It was a hot summer day. It was smoking hot. I remember laying in that hot sand, and all of a sudden I could see a shadow coming over. And it was one of our linemen. The lineman I was watching was coming over, and all of a sudden I just heard a boom. Well, he unbuckled. Back then we wore body belts. We didn't wear harnesses, and he had unhooked his body belt and jumped out the bucket about 20 feet in the air. Come running over to me, and we're wrestling. And you know, I thought the wire got back on me, and so anyway, they got me calmed down. My back was killing me.
I bet.
Ambulance got there. One thing about it was I remember everybody kept yelling. You know, a lot of yelling was going on. And what it was they couldn't tell them where we were at. Nobody could remember the address.
Yeah. And this is 1990,
1990.
right? We're not pulling that up on a phone and looking at
Yeah,
it.
we didn't have phones back then.
Yeah.
You didn't have phones. You had the radios.
Yeah, they're radioing back to dispatch and couldn't tell them where you were.
Yeah, and they couldn't tell the receptionist where we were. And finally, one of the crews heard it. That was out working in another area. They had seen us that morning when they went by, and they folded up their bucket, hurried up. They got to an intersection. The ambulance was sitting there doing circles, you know, like didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
And they're waving at them. They brought them to us. And when they got there, I was laying on the ground. Everybody was around me. Started cutting my boots off. I was pissed about that.
Yeah.
I just bought them H&H boots, and they cut them off. Asked me, they said, can you move your feet? And I thought, I yelled at this, or not yelled, just said something. This one guy says, my feet's still there. You know, I'm thinking they got burned off or something. And he said, yeah, they're there. He says, can you move them? And I said, yeah, are they moving? And he said, yeah, they're moving. And I had burned holes out of my feet. I had a hole blowed out of my pinky toe, and then out the side just below that. And so basically, you know, electricity works from the inside out. And it was finding its way out, went in my hands, went out my feet. And they got me in the ambulance, and I had my quad muscle was in a big ball on my back. Later, they found I had 5 bulging discs in my lower back. My quad muscle was in a ball. My fillings that I had in my teeth, dental fillings, they were burnt. I was spitting charcoal for about 2 weeks. Um, my hands were a little rough. It didn't burn them or anything like that, but they were just rough feeling. And then, the mental part kicks in.
Yeah.
So, I put Tammy through hell for a while. I mean, I'd pick her up in the bed at night and slide her off the bed, tell her not to move. I'd set her on the floor, and she was pissed because I would get up and then get back on the bed and go to sleep,
Yeah.
and here she's laying on the floor, but she's trying to, she worked at the power company too. She was trying to keep her job, and here I'm waking her up all night long, having problems. I'd be pushing the walls, thinking a pole was falling, and push the bed off the wall, I mean, um, just things like that. Finally, I knew I needed some help,
And that's part of what nobody ever talks about with these. You hear about incidents happening and you hear about they went to the hospital and all that. You don't hear about how it affects them after
Yeah.
that. A month, 6 months, 10 years down the road, there's side effects to that. And we don't know what that's going to be until we go through it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It didn't just affect me. My dad, so we had just moved there. I didn't talk about this in the beginning, but we had just moved there and over to that side of the state of Florida.
Okay.
And my dad worked out at Seco. He worked at the storeroom for the Seco Power Company, their little co-op. And he would ask me, well, how was today? And I said, it was all right. I said, they're different. Worked in Orlando area for years and then went over there. And so it was really different.
Yep. There's an adjustment
People
period
were
there.
different. Different. The linemen were different.
Yep.
Just wasn't the same.
Processes are different.
Yep. Same company, different stuff. And so the next day he said, how was today? And I said, you know what? I said, if anything happens to me, I'll get a good attorney. And my dad just kind of, he was new in that side of, what I was meaning there. But I just told him, I said, these guys don't work the same. I feel like something's going to happen. And
Yeah.
the third day that happened, third day I was there, that happened. And so when they called him at Seco, that affected him. I mean, he's
Yeah.
trying to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
They called Tammy up. She was in Winter Park. Nobody even picked her up and brought her there. She drove a good hour and a half by herself. So those were the differences back
Yeah.
then. They don't have it like they do now, where you got people that can help you and people's going to pick you up and take you. And I mean, back then it was just like it happened, and
She knew she had to get there,
get
and
her there. She don't remember driving there.
yeah, I bet not.
Me having dreams at night, her not being able to sleep at night. I mean, it was pretty rough. It was a rough time. I tried to go back to work. The company was wanting me to use their doctors.
Yeah.
And finally, I ended up using my doctor, and they could tell me what was wrong with my back. They said, we can't heal you. We can help you get back to work. And I did. I went to work. I think it was about 9 more years, 10 more years.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what it was like to come back to work. You get back in the yard and there's something that goes on with your motor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you feel like it's your fault. It wasn't my fault, but you feel like it's your fault. Your emotions aren't the same. You cry when you don't even know you're crying while you're crying. People are looking at you and why are they looking at me this way? It's not my fault. I didn't do this, and what it was is the crew that was there that day, they have dreams. And I happened to talk to one of them one day, and he said, man, I see your face every night. He said, and then I got to come look at you at work. And he said, I can't do this. You've heard of people that's seen fatalities that never come back to work because they couldn't handle it no more. I think that everybody handles it different, but it affects everybody. It affects your yard. It affects the people you worked with. It affects the people you live with. I had a son. I mean, at the time he was 6 years old. He don't remember that, but some people have sons and daughters that are in their teens or 20s that it does affect them.
Yeah.
I've been watching a couple things that's happened here recently with a guy named Hunter.
Yep.
And then I forget the other guy. I just seen his on there this morning, but it's tragic to see his girlfriend sleeping next to him in a in a hospital bed,
Yeah.
you know, or the daughters and the sons that are there with their arms wrapped around them at the pillows and stuff like that. And just, you know, you're afraid to touch them. But, it affected me for a while, you know, things that I used to do in the bucket. I could, you know, you go up there and you build a station, single pot station, you're there an hour, framing it out, you're done. It was taking me like 2 hours because your mind's racing.
Yeah.
You know, you go put the stinger on the line, you hear the buzzing, and it's like, you know, so there's a lot of things, and you have to fight that devil every day until you can beat that devil. But what it done to me after that was made me think safety even more.
Yeah.
What could happen? I felt this. You know, people ask, what did it feel like? What's it feel like when voltage goes through you? It's like getting hit by a Mack truck. I mean, it's like if you've ever sat and had a big rock truck go by you at an intersection, you're, ooh, I'd hate to pull out in front of that. You're thinking of the impact. That's like the impact. When it gets you, it's got you. And you ain't letting go. I mean, it can't let you. You're not letting it go. It's letting you go.
Yeah.
You know?
And it all happens so fast. I mean, with you going back in your mind and telling the story again, people are going to get the feeling it happened over an hour. No, this was a matter of minutes. All this happening, right?
17 seconds.
Yeah.
17 seconds. I was on that.
Wild.
Yeah.
So when you see these stories today, like Hunter's story and stuff happening, does it take you back to that day?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we'll talk about not one more later.
Yeah.
But we've had some conference calls where we've had other companies on there. And Tammy will tell you, I've had to get a walk away because it takes me back every time I sit, and I know what these guys went through. You know,
it gets heavy.
Yeah, it gets heavy, and you know, but you'll carry it with you the rest of your life. You're going to carry it a certain way. Some people don't ever get over it. Some people, most do, I think. I don't know. I've never really went and talked to a bunch of people. But I have been able to use my story for people. You know, I came to, when I came to Iowa, I was operations manager for Alliant Energy, and they were having some things go on at the yard there, and nothing that was super bad or anything like that. They just needed some leadership in that safety role, and I stepped up and told them, let me have it. I can do this. And so I went in and told my story to 80, I think there was probably about 80 linemen in there that day. There was 80 people I know in there, and you could have heard a pin drop. When other days, people are looking at their magazines, they got their hat pulled over their eyes, they're kicking their shoes, they're just over sitting in the corner. I think I had everybody's attention that day, and it was quiet. And when I come out, people was patting me on the back. Jimmy, I never knew, you know, I never knew this happened to you, man, you know, but now they know why I'm the way I am about, you know, when I got there, put your gloves on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good. No, put your sleeves and your gloves on if you're going to be in that position.
It brings out the passion for that aspect.
And then
work.
they understood why I was the way I am. But if it's never happened to you, it's hard to believe. It's hard to understand. You don't understand until it happens to you. People, when you're talking, oh man, I understand that. No, you don't. No, you hear what I'm saying, but you don't understand it.
And you can't.
And that's the thing is you don't really want to understand it, but listen to what folks are telling you. Yeah. It's been through it. You know, we used to have safety meetings, and I would put some of those gory shows on there. You know, you go pull the old 8 tracks or whatever you call them, VHS, and we'd plug them in, and there'd be stories. And some of these guys are like, man, I don't want to hear that. That just kind of shoots me down for the day. I'm like, you know what? You need to hear this stuff because it's going to let you think when you're out there, I need to cover this. When you normally wouldn't cover, you are covering. Or put the cones out by the truck where you just jump out, let the stiff legs down, go up in the air, and you're on a little farm road that a tractor, anybody could hit that stiff leg and throw you into the primary. I mean, you know, that's what it did for me. Yeah. It changed my perspective on safety.
So on that day when the incident happened for you, how long had you been in the industry at that point?
I believe I had 3.5 years at the time because I was just about qualified for lineman.
This was not your first day.
No.
You had experience. No. You had been on the work.
Yeah.
And you had been around other incidents like this before or not? This is the first time you've actually been around one or involved in one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
was
other
my
than watching those
that
videos,
was my first time. Yeah. Yeah.
so coming out of that, how do you feel like, I mean, I know it gave you more passion for safety, but how did it change how you talk to the crews and relate to the crews on a daily basis? Did that whole mindset shift?
Well, yeah, because in the morning, well, and this was after, this would be later, when I became a foreman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I became a foreman, that's how the way I got my crew started in the morning was I go in there and sit down for about 20 minutes and we just start talking, you know, wake up. I want to look at everybody, make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
I had one guy come in one morning. Motorcycle got on uneven pavement, back wheel, front wheel, and it turned him over. He come walking in, didn't even know it happened. But if wouldn't have sat there and we started talking, and I say, "Hey, what's wrong?" And he tells me what's wrong. I'm like, "Man, are you all right? Do you need to go home?" And he's like, "No, I'm good. I'm just, man, I can't believe they put signs out and blah blah blah." But just spending that 20 minutes of time in the morning to let the crew, talk a little bit, open up a little bit, gab a little bit, laugh a little bit, wake them up, and then we would talk, you know.
And that shows the true caring for the people, right? Anybody can go out, jump in a truck, and go do line work. Like that happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much stuff that goes on outside of that time clock, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all human beings. We have a lot of stuff going on in our brains, and if you don't know where someone's at mentally,
Yeah.
you don't know how they're going to do out there in the bucket or on the pole or
Yeah.
anything else, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think more people would benefit from that mindset of checking in on your guys, like actually be genuine about it, check in
Mm-hmm.
on them, make sure they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just run out of the yard first thing and go, 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 go. We got to get work done. Yes, we do have to get work done and we have to be productive, but we also have to be human
Yeah.
beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was always, I always kind of played around as a lineman. Everybody knew me, I'd joke with them and stuff like that. And so I always try to keep that same
Yeah.
thing going, that's what wakes everybody up. It makes it real, everybody can go get their tickets or, they're running orders and everybody's ready to go to work, you know. The way I always done things too, Thomas, is, I always tried to bend and flex on stuff. It was never just like this. And when I say bend and flex on things, I mean, like you said, you got to be real. Our union rules, you got a 15-minute, 30-minute, and a 15-minute lunch and breaks. Morning time, we'd stop somewhere at a restaurant. We may be there 30 minutes. Okay. But if I need you that morning because we got a pole broke, everybody knows. No more. We ain't having that long break this morning. We got to
Yep.
get going.
Yep.
So it was a bend and flex, and
Yep.
it was a respect thing. Respect one another. I mean, everybody's got their way of thinking of different people and stuff, but everybody should respect one another, and that's what I always tried to make sure is that I was respected and I respected them.
That's awesome. So fast forward to where you're at today, and since 1990, you just keep seeing stuff happen in our industry, incidents happening, near misses happening, accidents, fatalities, and it gets to a point where you kind of have to make a decision of we've got to change something, right?
Mm.
And that's where the not one more came from, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What is not one more? What's it stand for?
This past year we were seeing a lot of fatalities.
A lot.
And Tammy, our first company we ever owned was Lineman Barn. When it first started, there was a lot. I think that this one year, I think there was 54 accidents. I don't know how many died. I can't remember now. It's been a while. But there was it was a lot of things happening in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And this past year, 25, we started seeing that trend again. I mean, you've heard some accidents happening here and there, things would happen. It seemed like last year was really bad. And Tammy was just sitting there one evening, we were sitting there talking, and she said, "You know what, I want to do a not one more." And she called our CEO that works for the company, talked to Megan for a while, and didn't know where it would go, but it took off. And what it was is to bring, get people to look at this. We started having the calls where when we started, it was a test drive, so to speak, and a pilot to see what would happen. Had a lot of people on this call, and it went really well. I was very emotional. The first guy that was on there, his face was distorted from being burnt up. I couldn't sit there. Like I said, it bothered me because I know what him and his family's going through. Then the next call, we had probably over 200 something people. There may have been more than that. And people actually jumping in on the conversation. We want to see more of that. You know, we don't want to just make it about OSR holding this call. We want, you know, when we start that call, we want everybody to talk about it, to take it back to their office, take it back to their crews, and take it into their self too. We want people to start talking to each other about, man, we don't want no accidents here. This is an accident we heard about. This is what could have happened or this could have prevented if they would have done it this way. Start talking about the accidents. When I was coming up, we would get these letters out when something happened in the industry. We'd read it. We'd all sit and talk about it. You know, what happened here? What went wrong? And that's what we really need to get back to. What's happening today is you got a lot of guys that it's about the dollar anymore. When I was coming up, sure, everybody wanted to make money. To work for a power company was a big deal. I mean, once you worked for a power company,
that was the job
you were in, buddy. Yeah. I mean, it was like working for UPS back then. UPS was the big, you know, company that everybody wanted to work for, the brown trucks, you know. Well, and in Florida, it was Florida Power Corporation or Florida Power and Light. Well, Florida Power Corporation was the company to be at. It seems like that they're jumping. These guys are jumping. You know, you got the cell phones now. Everybody says, hey, California's paying this. Well, here's Johnny over here working an apprenticeship, and he just quits and goes there for the dollar instead of finishing his apprenticeship, you know. And we can't do that because what's happening is these guys are going from A to Z that quick when they should have did A, B, and C and learned all this stuff as they were going. And you've got to know your steps and what you got to do when you're doing line work. You know, I would love to see everybody get back into, you know, we were always told to hand your toolbox to the next guy, and your toolbox is here in your head, and teach these guys. Sure, I don't know everything there was to know about line work. You don't either. If we did, we're crazy.
That's exactly right.
There's something you're going to learn every single day, but what you do know, you can pass that toolbox of knowledge off to them guys, and if it works for him, it works for him. If it doesn't, I had a lineman tell me, throw away the good and throw away the bad and keep the good, and that's what I tried to do, was always do that. And you know, the way we would train. I mean, you know, you got to let these guys think for themselves too. Critique them before they go up. Critique them when they come down. How are you going to cover this? How are you going to do this? Build this line, you know, to get your clearance. You know. Where's your book at? You always carry your book with you. I mean, I'd make my apprentices walk 2 blocks back to the truck to get the book before they did their switching order. Well, I know, I just got to open this switch right here. I said, yep, you do. But the rule is you got to have your book with you. Go get it. Oh, man. Make them do it.
That's it.
You know, but it's the thing of making everybody do what they're supposed to do and do it right, because this job is unforgiving. I was lucky. I made it. Some others have made it, but others haven't. Yeah. And you want to go home every day, you know.
That's it.
It's a good living.
So the rates of these accidents and these fatalities and stuff, like you said, last year was a bad year. This year's already starting off on a really hard track, right? What do you think has gotten us there? Like the differences between, like, you can't just have a safety meeting, but there's a difference between a safety meeting and a safety culture, right? You mentioned earlier that you've been in these meetings where people are kicking mud off their boots and looking down at the ground. You don't even know if they're listening or not. How do you get people to pay attention to stuff?
So this is how I did it. So when I worked at Alliant, and we did the same thing in Florida, at Progress Energy when I was there as a foreman, and an ops manager, we gave it to the people. So when I got to Iowa, there was a lot of office people, managers, foremen that had never been in the trade. You know, when I was coming up in Florida, everybody in the office had been in the trade. Our general foreman, I mean, all the way up the ladder, people had been linemen. So when I got there, and I'm not beating on the company I work for, I'm just saying this was the difference.
Oh, that's a trend in the industry.
Yeah, it just the way it was, and I knew that I could make it better. When I got into management, Thomas, I did it because I wanted to make things better. So what I ended up doing was went to the director and I says, let me take on safety, and this is how I'm going to do it. This is my plan. And what it was is you could have office safety with the office people. You could have meter readers and all doing the meter reader side, because their safety is different than the line crew safety. And then let's take our linemen. I had, I think it was 80 linemen in that yard. I took each foreman, pulled them together. And I said, guys, I said, you asked for it, you got it. And they looking at me. I said, you wanted to have your own safety. You said you didn't want to hear everybody else's stuff in the office and all that. You wanted yours. I got it for you. Y'all are going to have your own safety now. Oh no. I said, what? I said, you're getting your safety. Well, what does that mean? I said, that means you as the foreman are going to hold a safety meeting for all the other foremen and the line crews. And they're like, I've never done that. I've never taught. I said, well, I'm here with you, and we're going to get on the company library, and anything you want to do, if it's grounding, we'll pull up some grounding tapes, but we're also going to look at our safety manuals and stuff like that. So we go in there. First guy I picked was Craig. Can I say last names and all?
Yeah.
Craig Kerslick. He was 48-year lineman. 48 years. He was a foreman. Awesome guy. Great lineman. He was your line god. And he was my first one that was going to do it because he was the oldest, right? Yep.
Everybody in the room looked up to him.
And they all thought of the world of him.
Yep.
The crew was going to be in it too. So when we had the meeting, we put everybody in a big horseshoe type thing and put the crew that was going to hold the meeting up front. And they spoke. So what we did is, here comes our director. And I told everybody, I said, guys, we're in a safety meeting. Everybody hold your safety manuals up. There was 80 guys in there, and nobody held the manual up. I said, let's get up, go out to the trucks, get your safety manuals, come back in. We've got 5 minutes. Let's go get it done. They run out there, and they come back in, and I said, okay, let's hold up our safety manuals again. 15 manuals. That's all we had. 15 safety manuals out of 80 guys. Man. Everybody should have a safety manual. 15 safety manuals. So I looked over at Paul. I said, we need to get with the admins to order some books. Everybody can have them, because I said, guys, what we're going to do is have safety meetings. We need to be able to look in our books of what we're talking about. And I said, with the apprentices here, now they know how to look in their safety manuals and know that that's in there if they ever need help on it. One of our manuals back in Florida had regulators, how to take a regulator on and offline. We had that in the back of our safety manual because it was something that you just didn't do all the time. But we felt like it should go in there. So they knew they could go in that safety manual and go back there and know how to take it on and offline. We did that. Morale went up. Guys were listening. There was no crap going on. I had trouble with one guy when we first started it. I made him go sit in the office. And when I got done talking to him that day, he was crying. And then when he held a safety manual, everybody listened, because he'd always been a big mouth. And when he finally took this serious, and he was a smart lineman, a good lineman, but he was rude to people. But when he showed that soft side and was doing the learning, the teaching, everybody was listening. I pulled him back in the office when it was his turn, and he did it. And I pulled him in my office and I said, look at what you did. Look at how these guys listen to you. And it changed his whole, you could see he had a little skip to his step then. I don't know why he was that way. I don't know, but something changed in him, made him for the better. And the yard, the morale was better. People was having good safety meetings. Our accidents went way down. And I went in and talked to him, and I said, hey, I'd like to have a safety luncheon. Oh, he never done that. And I said, well, we'll buy the meats. This is the director. I said, we'll buy the meats and the breads. They can bring the fixings. Well, what do we do after lunch? I said, we're going to go through our trucks, and we're going to look at all of our safety stuff, make sure it's up to date. And I said, and then it'll be by the end of the day, everybody can go home. Oh, okay. Went out, got with all the crews, told them what we was going to do, and they said that's never happened in this company as long as I've been here. But what it's doing is changing the culture, you know?
That's the difference between just checking boxes on a piece of
Mm-hmm.
paper
Yep.
and putting ownership behind the safety,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
You got forms and checking boxes, and that's just
that's going to be part of it forever.
that's part of the big scheme, because if anything ever happens, and for everybody out there, if anything ever happens, they show that they've been able to do safety meetings, they have them documented and stuff like that. But there's, like you said, there's other things that go with it that we can make better.
Yeah.
You know?
And instead of just stopping it there at the signing the papers and checking the boxes, you can actually go another step past that. And you've shown that you've done that before, and it's been recepted really well.
Yeah, it was awesome. I even got the director to start going out on the jobs. I said, if you need help, I know you've never been in line work. And he said, I said, if you go with me once a week, I'll take you once a week. You pick a topic and I'll take you out there and show you where it's at and what we're doing. Oh, okay. He was like a kid in a candy store. Me and him are friends today. We don't talk as much as we did.
Yeah.
But time separates things. But every now and then I see him on Facebook, or he'll comment happy birthday or whatever, and I know he's still out there. But he was a director, and I used to take him once a week, and he would look me up. It was Wednesday. Hey, where are we going today? And I'd say, what is it you want to look at? I want to look at grounding, underground grounding. I hear this all the time. I'd take him where our crews are at, and we'd have him walk through it and show him so he would understand.
Yeah.
What they're even talking about. But it was just teaching everybody, showing and showing that you care, and it also gave the guys a sense of pride. Here's a director out here wanting to see this, what we do. So when, instead of sitting in an office in a chair, you're outside looking at your men and the troops and what they're doing.
So today with OSR, you guys do a lot of storm response, right? So how does the safety change in storm response versus being at a utility like you were?
How does it change?
Yeah, because you're not having those weekly safety meetings and stuff on storm response, right? You're doing it at the beginning of a storm or throughout the storm or whatever, right? How does that change with the guys? How do you get them to kind of be involved in that?
So OSR has a lot of different components to it. You got wire down people. That's one component. You've got damage assessment people. That's another component. Now, we've got line crews that go with us on storm, contract line crews that go with us. What we do is we have RMs that go out and check on the crews throughout the year, different contractors. They'll go out, watch the crew for a little bit, maybe check the trucks, see if they're still staying clean. When somebody knows, when somebody's coming to your house, you're going to clean it up, right?
Yep.
So we sometimes will show up and just want to see if the culture is really what the culture shows. And if we see something, we write it up. We'll get with the owner of the company and say, hey, this is something we've seen. Might want to work on that. We'll look at blankets. We'll go out to lunch, talk to the owner of the company, find out what's going on, what his angst are right now. Work can be slow, storms could be slow, things could be going on, but just spending some real time with them too. But also, that's our safety checks with the line crews. With our DA people, a lot of that, so my brother's in charge of the DA group, they'll get with their leads. So each group, each region, there's leads in them, and he'll be sending out messages to them and stuff. They share it with their groups. That's why they're leads. He can't cover, there's close to 1,000 of them. So it's easier to have one guy from each region spread that out.
Of course. Yep.
Once we get on storms, we're still continuing talking about safety. Make sure everybody's got their PVDs, their ice cleats, their orange vest, all that kind of stuff, making sure that we provide that stuff and make sure everybody's wearing it. People are backing up each other in cars. You're not walking around with your hands in your pocket in the ice where you fall, hit your head, and have a brain bleed or something. So we're constantly trying to have our safety meetings in the morning, making sure everybody's got safety on their mind. And then, when the crews start, the RMs can only be around so many crews in the morning. You're only one person, but, we're constantly talking to everybody, making sure that, they are, and trying to get out there and visit with the crews and look at their job briefings and stuff like that.
Nice. So there's a lot of what I'm going to call challenges, right, on line work in general, but on the storm restoration side for sure. And one thing that we hear a lot in the industry today is fatigue. How is fatigue important, and how do we make sure and kind of stay on top of that fatigue during these storms? Because I know sometimes the response times on these are tough, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about storm fatigue for a little bit.
Well, the only thing you can do, I mean, with our company, I can only speak for our
Of
company.
course.
I know what goes on in other companies too, but we don't want our people driving all night and then jumping in a car. There's companies, utilities out there that want to put you to work as soon as you get there. They're already trying to send tickets to the folks there, and as soon as they can just drive on out there and start doing their thing. We want to make sure that our guys get the proper rest before they leave to go on storm. If they are driving a certain amount of hours, we're gonna stop them, let them rest. If we can't make the storm because of that, we're not making the storm. There's no dollar worth somebody's life. And we see it too many times. Guys are jumping in these cars or their trucks and their buddies, and just because they can make $1,000 extra, they're all driving through the night, and then they get in a bucket. They get out there and get themselves killed.
Yeah.
Somebody falls asleep behind the wheel, rolls a vehicle, rolls a truck, and people die. And it's not only about them. There's people on the road that are coming toward them, or on the road that's driving beside them, and we go to sleep and run them off. We're going to end up killing them too. But really, I mean, as a company, Tammy and our staff make sure that our folks are getting the sleep that they need. We won't let them drive all night and then go to work. We're making sure they're getting a rest.
I wish more linemen kind of took that as a front of mind mentality, right? Because I do feel like linemen have the mentality of, oh, I'm a tough guy, I can do this, I can do that, and like you said, they want to make as much money as possible, and all that stuff comes into play too.
Yeah.
But we're not invincible.
Yeah.
None of us are.
No, we're
And
human, and it's got to start with them.
Yeah.
I mean, we can preach till the cows come home. I mean, and I can tell somebody that I don't want them on the road till tomorrow morning at 7, and the company owners tell them, hey, we're leaving tonight and we're going to get there. And
there's only so much you can do.
yeah, there's only so much you can do, but you set if we could set the pace, if people just start, it goes back to not one more.
Yeah.
If people start doing the right thing, it'll come around.
That culture is
But
contagious.
but you have to do it, and it's got to start with somebody.
Yeah. Yep.
And they say, oh man, I'm only one guy. Well, one guy and another guy. It's when me and Tammy and our company started not one more. It's gotten big now. We've got a lot of people that's wanting to be involved in this. We never thought, you never think it's going to go like it does. It's a big industry, but it's a small industry too. And it's just, you just got to throw it out there and try it. And we did. And I mean, it's taken off. You're going to have some hard heads out there that don't want to hear it. But like I said before, those are the ones that's never seen anybody get burnt. Those are the ones that's never seen anybody smoking, laying on the ground dead, or their arms burn off, or had to go face their families. And until that happens sometime, I hate to say it, until they see that, they'll always be the way they are, and they'll just always get by. But
so our industry's got a lot of younger linemen in it. When you started in the industry, I'm sure you got on a crew and the foreman probably had 20, 25, 30 years experience.
oh yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You get in front of some of these crews now, I'll go out talking to people, and there's a foreman that's only been doing it for 4 years. And that means he just topped out recently and he's a foreman already.
yeah. I think about that.
Right?
Yeah.
And that makes it a little bit scary. What advice would you tell that 23, 24-year-old kid who's now got a whole crew underneath him? You have any advice for that guy?
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying before. It starts with you. You know what you're capable of. To me, you just don't have enough time under your belt. There's people, you said 4 years. There's guys out there that's had 2 years.
Yeah.
That are trying to run a crew. There was a guy, I don't know the man's name. I just know the story and I know it happened. But he kept trying to get in on a foreman's job. These companies kept turning away. One of these companies gave him the foreman's job, GF. And he called his buddy who was in school, said, man, you need to come up here. I'll give you a lineman's job. I'm the GF here. I'll give you the lineman's job. And we'll start you out at this. Boy, walked right out of school, went down there where this guy was at, got in a bucket, and it was like 2 or 3 days later, burned his head off. Killed him, you know. But what was it for, Thomas? It was for money.
Yeah.
You know, it's for money. Man, the advice I give these guys is, put your time in. Work your hurricanes, work your tornadoes, work your ice storms. You're young. You got plenty of time.
Yeah.
You got plenty of time. Learn everything that you can learn. Be the leader. Be a leader. When you have all these men under you, be that leader. Don't be sitting there looking at this guy here, or when they get ready to pull wire down the highway, you're scared that they're going to do something wrong, so you leave the job site. I mean, that's a coward.
For sure.
Be out there with your crews and know we've went over our plan. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Our road is all coned off. Our guys are all safe. We got gloves out ready in case something were to happen. We got plan B. If something happens, we know we're dispatch we're going to call. We know our ambulances if something happens. I mean, be that leader. These guys, they don't even know where the hospital's at.
No.
They don't even know there's a thing on your app now that you can look on your phone, gives you every hospital and emergency clinic in that area. All you got to do is hit a button. And when you're having your job briefing, you'll ask them, where's the nurse? I don't know. We just got here and I don't really know you. I'm meaning to go look for that, and it's on your app. Here, let me show you where it's at. Yeah. Oh man, I never knew that was there. Yeah. Be a leader, dig into what you're doing and be good at what you're doing.
That's the thing. A lot of these guys just want that title, right? And they think that title makes them important. And I think it's important to put the message out there that a title, and the best leader out there doesn't have an ego, right? That title, when it comes with an ego and you think you're that tough guy, it takes a lot more of a man to step up and say, hey, I'm not ready for this. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, I really don't know. We need to call somebody before somebody gets hurt. Mm-hmm. That's a harder decision than to just step that role and be like, oh, I got this. Let's go to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy that thinks you have all the answers and thinks that you know what's going on. If you don't, stop, admit it, have the conversation. Don't take the leadership role if you're not ready for it. Yeah. Because there's no taking that back.
No,
you don't get a second chance at a lot of these accidents.
You don't want blood on your hands.
That's it.
And knowing that you went into something, knowing that you shouldn't be there. Like I said, you got plenty of time in this industry. There's plenty of time. I mean, man, you can start it when you're 18 years old and you'll go to your 65 years old or 70 or however old you want to go. There's plenty of time. Be good at what you're doing. That's why this is a skilled job.
Exactly.
It's not a job that you go to Burger King and you just flip burgers. Everybody knows how to flip a burger. You got a skilled job that nobody knows how to do. It's not just jack and wire. I mean, you're learning the theory of electricity, how to wire banks, the load tensions, everything. You've got to learn all this stuff and calculate it all. It's a skilled job. That's why we get paid what we get paid. That's why we get called to go on these storms, because nobody can get this on. Nobody can get this power back on but us.
I had a director of operations at a utility company years ago tell me that he could get any monkey off the street to be a lineman. And he and I had a pretty heated discussion about that and why I didn't agree with it.
Yeah.
And we just agreed to disagree by the end of the conversation. But that mindset is not needed in this industry.
Yeah, no, it's
right?
not.
It's not that way. Like you said, it's a skilled trade for a reason.
It's a skilled trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the Not One More movement comes up, what can people do tomorrow to kind of start gaining momentum for that movement, that they can, what's something that they can do to make a difference, basically?
I think they just have to really everybody's different. Everybody faces different challenges on the jobs and the yards, at home. I mean, it don't have to just be at work. This can be at home too.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're out there weed eating, put them safety glasses on. I done a safety thing one time for Light Energy here when I was in Iowa. I took a mannequin's head. This is a good thing for everybody to try. Take a mannequin's head, hone out the whole eye hole, I put a water balloon with red dye in it and stuffed it in there. And then I
Right.
put different pairs of safety glasses on. And then my son, Austin, sat down at the end of this table and we shot that mannequin in the eye and it would reflect. We'd show what it does. Then we got the Oakleys that we ain't supposed to be wearing on the job.
But they look cool.
Yeah, they look cool.
Yeah.
And we shot it, went right through, and here comes this red stuff flying out and on this white mannequin's face. And I mean, we're like, oh man. But it just shows. It was just a analogy, a little video
Yep.
on that. And you seen people start talking about wearing them safety glasses more and getting rid of the Oakleys.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, I mean, man, when something, and God forbid, I know we're talking a lot about safety and things that's happened, but we need to talk about that kind of stuff. But also we need to talk about the good things too. And those safety glasses, companies are providing them, and wear them. But like I said, don't just do it at home or at work. Do it at home. Teach your kids that safety. Teach them, gun safety. Teach them fishing safety. We've had people that we known that's drowned in a boat because they had lawn chairs in a John boat. Flipped it over and the dad couldn't swim.
Oh,
The son tried to save him. He's drowned his son and he drowned. But safety goes all with you all the time.
Yep.
Goes with you all the time.
with everything you do.
And so to answer your question, everybody faces different challenges. You have to look at yourself for not this one more, not one more. It's really based on what you see it as. It may be that you're on a crew, nobody's having job briefings really. Your foreman's sitting in a truck and he's pencil whipping that job briefing and throws it on the dashboard till all the crews together and says, everybody sign this. They don't talk about nothing. They just sign it and they walk away, right? Maybe you're having a problem with that. Maybe you say, no, I'm not signing that. We need to have a safety job briefing. I want to have this job briefing.
And that's the change that's needed right there.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a bump on a log and put up with that kind of stuff.
No.
Don't get me wrong. They're not going to like hearing you whenever you speak up about it. But if you do it the right way and you do it respectfully, that's the conversations that are needed. It's speaking up when you see something going on that's unsafe or cutting corners. It's refusing to do unsafe conditions whenever a company, a general foreman, a whoever is trying to push you into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's calling out fatigue. If people are getting too tired, have that conversation. Don't let it keep happening because you can only take chances so many times.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff, it makes a difference. Being a mentor, speaking up in the right times, all that stuff kind of falls underneath that not one more mentality, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So I want to drop back to one more thing. When we first started, we talked about the guy cutting the line and it falling.
Yeah.
The investigation showed what it was I told everybody it was a number 4 primary. We had went on storm up in the Carolinas back in the 90s. It was I forget which one it was, Andrew, or I think it was Andrew that hit up there. When everybody come back, we were supposed to throw everything in the dumpster, start your trucks, get your trucks all cleaned off and restock. Well, this guy didn't do it. Back in the day, everything hung on copper hooks, all your wraps and everything. Well, sitting in the truck, red turned to like a faded orange. He thought it was a number 4 and it was a number 2. When he put it on there, you got that grit.
Yep.
Well, he didn't feel the grit, so he questioned it, but he put it on anyway. So I tell everybody it was kind of like taking a nail and sticking it in drywall. And then you put a heavy picture on it, it ends up pulling it down. Eventually, somebody slams the door of the house, picture falls on the
It'll
the
hold
floor.
till it doesn't. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
He had that on there. The next day, they start putting hoses on the line. They got jumpers on the line.
Adding weight
the
to it.
weight. So when he cut that behind the tail, it took off.
Oh,
and when it took off, it fell across that trailer. So that's what happened.
Yep.
So
yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to I wanted to say that before anybody goes, well, whatever happened? How'd that happen? I wanted to make sure I explain that.
Well, and that's a good point to bring up. If you don't have what you need, go get it.
If it's not,
double check
if it don't feel right, it probably ain't right.
Let's stop and talk about it. Ask somebody, hey, this doesn't feel right. What do you think about it?
Tell me another wrap.
Yeah. That's why we work as a crew.
Yeah.
Bounce that stuff off of each other.
Yeah.
Don't just do it anyhow, because when it goes bad, it goes bad.
It goes bad.
Right?
Yeah.
So if someone listening wants to get involved in the Not One More movement, what can they do? Is there somebody they can reach out to? Is it
Yeah, you could send Tammy call at One Source.
Okay.
Tammy's the one that she's founder of it, and I would get with Tammy and let her know that if there's something you want to talk about or you would like to use on our next call, I'm sure she would be more than happy to have you involved in it. And we want everybody in the whole country to be involved in this. If we can save one life, we won't know it. You'll know it, but you're going to know the change that's taken place on your crews or in your yards, and it's just it. There's nothing better than going to work knowing that you got people that think the same way you do, that's going to work the same way you do, and you don't constantly have to look over your shoulder. I know when I was coming up as a lineman, I trusted my lineman that was in the bucket with me. We all came up together. We talked a lot, but when we were up there working, we knew what each other was doing next. I'm coming on too. We'd be looking, make sure we're on the same phases. We make sure, hey, you got a gap in that blanket, you might want to put another pen on it. We were always talking, because I'm up there, he's up there. We're covering for self, but I'm covering for him too. He's my brother.
Yep.
And you heard a brother's keeper. I was trying to keep him as safe as I could.
Yep.
Because we spend more time with each other than we do our own families.
Yeah.
We're on storms together, we're on holidays together. Because we're all working and stuff like that. We're together with each other than we are our own families. And there's no reason why everybody can't get on the Not One More movement and try to start helping each other.
And we hear so many people in the industry say we need to change. Something needs to change. It needs to be different. It starts with daily changes, little things, people speaking up, changing the little things, and that will snowball into big change. You can't just go change the top of the pyramid. You've got to start at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, I on that, Thomas, I kind of disagree.
Okay,
I think you really start at the top.
Okay.
It starts at management.
Okay.
We need to start up here. They need to believe in it. It may take you down here to get up there to them and say, hey, this is what I see. It's like I did it when I was at the company here. But you have to get them involved and help them understand. You need to give them a measuring stick and say, hey, this is what's happening out there now. This is what the guys are talking about. And you know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, we are. You
don't get that person at the top to understand it unless the person at the bottom is saying, hey, we're not doing job briefings down here. Hey, we're cutting corners when we change out this primary pole. Hey, we didn't cover that up like that.
Right.
If you don't have those conversations.
We got to have everybody involved. It starts at the top. In our industry, Tammy and I are leaders. You're a leader. Man, the podcasts that you're doing, I listen to them.
I appreciate it.
And it's going to make a change. But, we've all have to do it as an individual. We all have to see where our spot is and help make those changes. It may be somebody's listening to this podcast and says, I'm going to start talking to all the linemen on my crew. I see some things with these apprentices that are going on that I don't like. We weren't brought up that way, and we're just letting it happen. We need to get together as a unit here of leaders and start working with these apprentices. Not beat them up. You don't have to beat them up, cuss at them and all that. Back in the day, we got called everything but God, and what they done, they kind of beat you down to build you up. But get these boys and start teaching them. Give them your toolbox of knowledge and start teaching them so that they want to stay with you. They want to stay and not jump from crew to crew, company to company, hard hat to hard hat. They're wanting to stay there because they feel safe and they feel like they're getting something.
Yeah.
So,
that's exactly right. And I appreciate you letting me come up here today and talk about Not One More. It's gotta start yesterday. It's got to start a month ago, right? The industry needs it big time.
Yeah.
And, I know when you're out there in the woods, really back to your happy place, right? That's where you enjoy life and that's where you kind of decompress. And out there, you respect what can hurt you. And in our industry, we need to do the same thing. We need to respect what can hurt us and start making that change. And I think Not One More is going to make a big difference with that.
Well, you think about it. I took you down here to talk to one of my farm hands, and he was burning that fire.
Yep.
And I said, you're just feeding it, right? And what did he say? He says, I'm feeding it because I know that's the way you like that. That's what you expect.
Yep.
And so, I worked with him. He knows what I expect, and that's what he's doing.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And because he could get a blaze going, next thing you know, we got the farm on fire down here, right?
Yeah.
So this man's 80 years old, and he's never too old to learn. So you're never too old to learn, whether you're a lineman, an apprentice, or a groundman. You can learn.
Yeah.
Everybody can learn something every day.
I love
you
it.
know. So
anything else you got for us, Jimmy?
I would just say I'll start with the groundman first. Don't get wrapped up. There's a lot of drugs that go on in the trade, a lot of drinking that goes on in the trade, peer pressure that's going on out there. Don't get involved in that. Go to work every day. You can make a good living. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I grew up, I didn't have a lot in life growing up as a child, but I wanted more for myself. When I got into line work, it was the ticket. It's made me what I am today. My wife and I own 10 companies. When we started out, I started out just like everybody else, digging holes. I was a grunt and just trying to learn it all, learn what I could. And I ended up taking the skills that were given to me and I turned it into 10 companies. We got 10 companies, multi-million-dollar companies, and we got it by hard work, learning from everybody around us. Man, I had some great linemen growing up and great teachers, and I just don't want you guys to get messed up in that kind of stuff. The apprentices, same way, all the way up to the linemen. Linemen, these guys are watching you. You're their teacher, you're their leader. They're doing everything you show them how to do. And it's a good feeling as a lineman to know that somebody calls you up at night because they're in a bind and they say, "Hey, what do I do here?" That should make you feel good that they think enough to call you. You should feel good enough to give them your number and say, when you make lineman, or if you're ever in the field and I'm not around, you can call me at any time. Don't be afraid to do that. But guys, just work safe out there. Make sure you're wearing all your PPE and doing everything that you can do. And if you see something in this industry that you think you can help make change, it takes you to help make that change. If you sit on your hands, we're never going to do anything. We're not going to make that change. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Great advice. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
That's it for today's episode of Power Grid Talks, from the bucket trucks to the boardrooms. I'm your host, Tom Williamson. I want to thank you for joining me as we talk to the people behind the scenes who keep our grid strong. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to hit that subscribe button, give it a share, and leave a review so we can keep bringing more voices from across the utility world to the conversation table. You can also find us at PowerGridTalks.com. Until next time, stay safe and keep the power flowing.